Have you ever imagined the hero you admire losing himself amid the shadows of his own fears? Today, get ready to discover a dark side of Spider-Man that will send shivers down your spine. In just a few seconds, you'll find yourself immersed in a horror story so intense that nothing will seem safe anymore. On an exceptionally cold and rainy night in New York City, the city's lights flickered as if they knew that something terrible was about to happen. Among skyscrapers and forgotten alleys, Spider-Man, ever vigilant, patrolled the streets with his unmistakable agility. Yet that night, a disturbing feeling accompanied him. Something was not right. The wind whispered secrets, and the darkness seemed to hide hungry eyes. As he swung from building to building, he noticed a shadow moving in a strange way, almost as if it were mimicking his every move. It wasn't the villain he knew, but something much more sinister, a presence that seemed to have emerged from the deepest corners of his nightmares. Amid the buzzing rain and the distant echo of sirens, Spider-Man landed silently in a narrow alley, where the scant light mingled with dancing shadows. It was then that he found something unusual, an old, worn leather-bound diary abandoned atop a trash box. Its yellowed pages contain accounts of obscure experiments from an era when science dared to venture down forbidden paths. Flipping through the diary, the hero discovered disturbing notes about a mysterious substance developed in clandestine laboratories, one that promised to alter the very essence of humanity. Yet the text revealed that the experiment had spiraled out of control, transforming men into creatures doomed by an ancestral curse. Every line exuded a silent terror, suggesting that the boundaries between man and beast were far more fragile than anyone had imagined. A chill ran down Spider-Man's spine. Could it be that this macabre project was somehow linked to his own origins? As raindrops blended with the ink of the diary, he began to question whether the force driving him to protect the city also concealed a dark side, one fueled by secret experiments and forces beyond human comprehension. Determined to find answers, the hero followed the clues left in the diary. Every corner of New York seemed to whisper tales of pain and despair. In abandoned alleys, echoes of distant screams merged with the sound of the rain, and, as if the very city were alive, every street bore marks of a presence that fed on fear. During one of his investigations, Spider-Man started noticing inexplicable events. Lights flickering without reason, shadows moving against the wind's direction, and disturbing reflections in the puddle's watery mirrors. In one of these puddles, he saw something that made him halt mid-swing, a reflection that wasn't his own, but that of a tall figure with empty eyes and a macabre smile that seemed to mock reality itself. This apparition became increasingly frequent, haunting him in his moments of greatest vulnerability. With every street, the sensation of being watched grew stronger, and the urban landscape, once the stage of his victories, transformed into a sinister labyrinth where every shadow concealed a new terror. On a night when the storm appeared to scream the city's agony, Spider-Man found himself cornered in an abandoned section of an old industrial building. There, the echoes of his footsteps merged with a deadly silence. It was in this scene of decay and neglect that the presence that had been pursuing him for so long finally revealed itself. Before him, amid tangled webs and shattered windows, a creature emerged from the shadows. It was not a mere imitation, but a grotesque entity, a distortion of everything the hero stood for. Its movements were a macabre parody of Spider-Man's agile leaps. Its eyes, empty and lifeless, reflected an existence that had long lost its humanity. The creature advanced slowly, as if each step were an invitation to despair. The hero, filled with a mix of courage and terror, tried to retreat, only to realize that the entity seemed to control its surroundings, closing off escape routes with black webs that materialized out of nowhere. It was as if the city were conspiring against him, turning every alley and corner into a deadly trap. At that moment, Spider-Man was not merely battling a physical threat. He was confronting the ghosts of his own past, the traumas that had never faded. The ensuing fight was intense and visceral, a macabre dance between light and darkness. Every exchange blow resonated in a sepulchral silence, where the sound of each impact was muffled by the weight of destiny. As the struggle intensified, the hero began to realize something disturbing. The entity was not just an external enemy, but a manifestation of his deepest fears. Amid the chaos of blows and confusion, he felt as if he were facing a long-forgotten part of himself, a dark side that had been buried under years of battles and sacrifices. Every movement of his adversary seemed to reflect a wrong choice, a moment of weakness or doubt. And with that, the battle transformed into an internal confrontation, where courage and despair clashed in a silent duel. In a moment of clarity, Spider-Man understood that to defeat this creature, he needed to embrace the totality of his existence, both the light that made him a hero and the darkness he had long tried to suppress. With this epiphany, he channeled all his emotions and powers, not merely as a fighter, but as a man ready to face his own demons. In one final, desperate move, the hero struck a decisive blow that tore through the entity's essence, shattering it into 1,000 fragments of shadow and pain. With the entity dissipated, the storm began to subside, and for a few precious moments, New York appeared to regain its peace. Yet in that brief interlude, Spider-Man realized a haunting truth. Terror never completely disappears. It may lie hidden in every corner, waiting for the exact moment to resurface and test the limits of one's courage. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the hero gathered the old diary, a grim reminder of the experiments that nearly destroyed him. Deep in his heart, he knew that no matter how fiercely he fought to protect the city, the secrets and horrors of his past could always return to haunt him. That night would leave scars not only in his memories, but on the very soul of New York. And as he prepared for a new day, the feeling that something still watched him from the shadows lingered, a reminder that even among heroes, terror can manifest in unexpected and devastating ways. Even with the entity's dissipation, Spider-Man couldn't shake the feeling that evil had left its invisible marks on the city. Every street, every shadow seemed to carry a fragment of that indescribable terror, a constant reminder that once darkness is awakened, it never truly vanishes. As he walked through the relentless rain, he bore the weight of a secret unveiled during that night of horror. On that gray morning, while the first rays of sunlight struggled to break through a thick curtain of clouds, remnants of black webs glistened under the trembling light. It was as if the city itself had become a battleground between light and shadow, with every alley holding painful memories and promises of future horrors. The hero, his heart still pounding between remorse and uncertainty, realized that this victory came at a price. The awareness that the true enemy might always be lurking just around the corner. In his quest for answers, Spider-Man discovered clues leading him to an old laboratory, abandoned and forgotten by time. Hidden deep in a New York suburb, amidst yellowed papers and corroded equipment, he uncovered records of grim experiments echoing the horrors of the previous night. Each document seemed to tell a story of despair, suggesting that these clandestine experiments were merely the beginning of a much larger threat. While sifting through the remnants of that sinister place, a coded message emerged from the rubble, pulsing with a disturbing energy. The enigma appeared to be a direct warning, an admonition that forces beyond human understanding were still at work in the shadows. This discovery deepened his anguish and ignited a newfound determination to unravel the origin of that evil which silently continued to spread throughout the city. Determined to protect the innocent and comprehend the full extent of that curse, the hero's journey extended far beyond a mere physical battle. Every new clue, every whisper carried by the wind, reinforced the conviction that this terror was not an isolated phenomenon, but part of a much deeper and intricate plot. With a heart marked by past scars, yet emboldened by renewed courage, Spider-Man prepared to face the upcoming challenges, fully aware that on the fragile line between light and darkness lies the true essence of humanity. And so, my friends, we come to the end of this journey into Spider-Man's dark side. If you were as impacted by this story as I was, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming horror tales. And don't forget, An amazing video is already appearing on your screen, filled with more mysteries and chills to explore. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, no matter how brightly the light shines, the shadows will always be lurking. Until next time,